Okay, Assalamualaikum. Today we will be talking about behavior norms regarding long distance relationship, and the interviewers for today will be Miss Syafiqah and me, Shafiyyah, and we will be interviewing Miss Edina Mazlan. So, Edina, would you like to introduce yourself first before we get into the questions?
Yes, okay. Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So my name is Irina Binti Maslan. I'm 23 years old and I live in Malacca. And we're talking about this behavior norms for long distance, right? So my fiance is at Shalom right now. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Miss Edina, for the brief introduction. So we will be interviewing you around 14 questions, and the first question that we have for you is, what are the preparations that you have made physically and mentally before going into a long distance relationship?
So talking about preparations based on physically and mentally, to be honest, I didn't make any preparations because I never knew the term of long distance relationship until I went into that thing, because I started in school, and then I think I'm just prepared mentally because I knew that we are going two different ways, two different colleges. We're not going to meet so much like in school. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. And the second question would be, what are the fears that you were concerned with before going into a long distance relationship?
Okay, uh, my fears are like other girls, like men cheating. I personally don't have any experiences on that, but because of my friends telling me stories about it, and it just like impacted my mind about men cheating, especially in long distance one. So like I've been overthinking for the few first months, but it just gets better for the years coming.
Okay, the third question will be given by Ms. Shafiqah.
Okay, so I'll be asking you the third question. What do you think are the factors that lead to such obstacles in long distance relationship? Like you've mentioned before, you were worried about your fiance cheating on you. What do you think that happens?
I think there are a lot of factors we're going into this long distance relationship, right? So I think the first one is because we are growing. We have our different ways in life. We have different futures. So like for me, I'm like a 23-year-old and I'm like pursuing my degree, and he's doing his old degree. So that is one of the factors why we are in a long distance right now. And then the second one, age. The third one is time. For the time, I think because we're not so committed, like we're like going to marry or something. We're just like going to that phase in the future, but not yet. And I think the fourth one is financial parts. Yep.
Next is the fourth question. Other than being worried about your partner cheating on you, what were your other thoughts the first few months of the long distance relationship?
Honestly, my first few thoughts for the first months, I was like excited, but I'm sad. I was excited because for the first few months, I was in a long distance relationship with him. I was starting to date him. So like it was the early phases. So I was like, I want to be on the phone 24 hours. I want to ask so much questions. I want to know him more. I mean, I don't have like anything else to do besides than talking with him. So that is the exciting part. But the sad part is I do that. I wasn't going to see him for a while. I'm an overthinker, like most girls are. I will overthink that, oh, maybe he will find someone else better, or so on. So, yep.
Okay, thank you for the brief answers. Moving on to question number 5. A 1994 study of college students in long distance relationships found that women adjusted better to both the initial separation and the eventual breakup. So, how did you both adjust to the distance and lack of physical interaction?
So when it comes to distance and lack of physical interaction, we honestly cannot do anything about it because we're in a long distance, right? So, but we have our own ways to not like miss each other so much, and we actually practice to not always be attached to one another for 24 hours. Unlike the first few months, it was a bit, we are like so busy with ourselves, but as years goes by, um, it's not it's not boring, but it's a bit, we have other commitments because we are going, right. Um, so yeah.
Okay, and the next question would be, what are the things that people have said to you that you may have doubt being in a long distance relationship? Like maybe things that your classmates have said or your peers, maybe.
There are things people have said, but they didn't say directly to me. They were like just to chat behind me, like they would just say, "You wouldn't last long with him. He will find someone else much better." Because you're in a long distance relationship, you wouldn't know what he would do behind your back. You wouldn't know what he'll go to places or something, and that is a bit worrying. That is why I've been like so overthinking this past few years, but I can manage that.
Okay, moving on, I'll be asking you the seventh question. A group of researchers previously found that long distance couples report lower levels of problematic communication between couples. Do you feel as if a long distance relationship has helped your communication for the better or for the worse?
Okay, so I think I actually agree with that. It's reported that lower levels of problematic communication between couples, yes, after a few years, but for the first few months, it's not. But it actually helps our communication to become a bit better, because we barely knew how is he like, how am I like. So it takes time. And the thing about this communication skill is because when you're in a long distance relationship, you only have one way, which is communicate. So if you want to stay with your partner, so then you would have to communicate with them, even though it's like very irritating, but you still have to settle the problems in the right way. So how I managed to like communicate with him is when we're like being angry with each other, we would just take our time and then we call back after a few hours. So everything seems to be like calm, and we just settle it in the right way.
Hmm. Another 2013 study by researchers from Cornell University and the City University of Hong Kong found that distance can breed intimacy. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes, I agree. Because when you're in a long distance, you hardly see them. So whenever, for me, I think that whenever I go to places, I see couples like eat together, or I see like I have ideas to do something with them. It's I just can't be patient to wait for the time comes when I see him. So that actually builds intimacy between us.
Okay, thank you, Miss Tina. Moving on to question number 9, a question that should be asked more to couples in long distance relationship. Are you happy with the current emotional intimacy you have with each other?
Yes, I'm happy.
Would you like to maybe elaborate more on why?
I'm happy with our situation right now because it's been like years we've known each other. Um, we get to know a lot, not just our outsides, our inners, our thoughts, our feelings. If we do this, we'll feel like this. So that actually makes us not not just lovers, more like best friends, I guess, because we are so transparent with each other. So right now there are no doubts. The overthinking is slowly going away. So that actually makes me happy, and that makes him happy.
That's great to know. Moving on to the next question. An article titled Nine Psychological Effects of Being in a Long Distance Relationship mentioned that FOMO, or the fear of missing out, is amplified when you feel like you are missing out on the large chunks of their lives. So, do you feel as if you're missing out on each other's lives, especially on big or important occasions?
Um, I think so, but not just big and important occasions. Sometimes whenever he just hang out with his friends, I feel like I'm missing something. And he's an athlete. He goes to like sports competitions. So whenever he has that event, I cannot go there, and then I feel like I'm not supportive. But he understands why I cannot go because we have our own priorities and other responsibilities, right? So yeah, I felt that a bit.
Um, I'll be asking the next question. Do you sometimes find yourself feeling more insecure as a partner?
Yes. Sometimes there are times I feel insecure because I can we as women can like see other women who are like much better for him, but he's he's insisting to stay with me, so I'm just like curious. Um, yeah, that just
Okay,
is.
understood. I'll be asking the next question. According to Somani 2019, it is usual to feel alone and lonely when you are in a distance from your significant other. Can you please tell us to what extent do you feel the absence of your partner, and do you have any examples of when you feel the most lonely?
Okay, talking about this loneliness, I actually felt the absence so many times, especially whenever I want to go to bed, because we are like so busy with college stuff, so we barely spend time each other now, compared to the first few months. So examples. Okay. Whenever I feel sad, I would just go scroll my gallery and just like uh remember every parts of pictures in it. Like even though the pictures are like 2 years old, I can still remember what happened because we hardly see each other. Sometimes like once a year only. And then whenever I go to places and see like other people with their partners, I feel so lonely. And yeah, sometimes I just pick a fight with him, but that is not happening too much now because I know he doesn't like it. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, thank you for the examples given. So for question 13, how has being in a long distance relationship affected your mental health?
Okay, for this question, talking about mental health, I don't know much about. I don't take in much about my mental health because I don't like to be diagnosed as a mental health patient. But I think that it's going up and down. I have a few moments where I feel like I have anxiety. I don't know why, but I don't want to diagnose myself, but I just felt that. Okay.
Mm.
So basically, one of your mental health issues would be anxiety from time to time.
Just not time to time. There are some,
Sometimes only.
yeah, sometimes.
Okay. And for the last question, the 14th question, a 2007 study by Catherine McGuire reported that couples were happier with a little certainty that one day they'd live in the same city again. Do you have that certainty, and does it help ease your worries regarding your relationship?
Yes, we don't often talk about our future. I mean, like, I don't know if it's too cringy, but at random times he would just go like, I want to do this with you one day. So like that sentence just made me feel, oh, I have hope with him. He wants to be with me, and that actually gives us like determination to accomplish what we want to have together, which is like marriage, for example. So yeah, we have that certainty, and it really helps in our relationship. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for for answering our questions. That is all our 14 questions that we have regarding the topic, long distance relationship. Shafiqah, do you have anything else to add on?
Just thank you for answering our questions and willing to do this interview.
Okay. So with that, we will end our interview for today. Thank you to everyone who participated.